When the impoverished student came to my home and begged me to give up my childhood sweetheart to her, the whole family heard her inner voice. Should I tell them that the apocalypse is about to begin? By then, Xinqiang will be the first zombie, the one who kills her entire family. And as for me, Reborn, I had already prepared a safe house at my hometown in the countryside. If they help me break up Xinqiang and Fuxi, I'll let the three of them move in. As expected, my parents and brother all believed her words. She even falsely claimed that she and I had been switched at birth more than 20 years ago, turning us into the real and fake heiresses. She directly kicked me out of the house. I waited and waited. But what came was not the apocalypse. Instead, it was the news that the fake heiress who had stolen my identity had married my fiancé and given birth to his child. When I went to confront them, I was beaten to death by my parents and brother. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day the poor student came looking for me. This time, I gained the ability to change her inner thoughts. I won't let her get away with it. May I ask, is this Xinqiang's home? I'm her classmate, Zhou Xinran. After opening the door, I saw the face that I hated to the bone. Memories of my past life still surfaced in my mind. Seeing her again, all I felt was endless hatred. I glared at her in disgust. What are you here for? When she saw me, she immediately put on a pitiful look, tiptoeing and swaying her head. She kept peeking into the room. She said, "Sister, I'm here to beg you." What she was really thinking was, damn it, this bitch Shin really is rich, why is it that we're both women? But she's a rich young lady and I'm a poor student. That's not fair at all. Everything that happened was exactly the same as in my previous life. At once, I truly felt the reality of my rebirth. In my previous life, I had been startled when I heard her inner thoughts. Just as I was about to say something, she suddenly barged in, greeting my parents and brother, who had come to welcome the guest. She spoke politely and meekly on the surface, but inside, she was saying some strange things. As expected, Xinqiang really is a jinx. Just thinking that such wonderful family members will be dragged to their deaths by her in 3 days makes my heart ache so much. How should I remind them? In just 3 days, the zombie apocalypse will arrive, and the world's first zombie will be Xinqiang. The first person she bites will be her own family. Her brother Shindi was torn apart alive and swallowed whole. Her uncle was dismembered and stored in the refrigerator to keep fresh. Her aunt was given to other zombies as food. Upon hearing this, our whole family fell into extreme panic. Everyone looked at me in terror, as if I really were the villain Zhou Xinran had spoken of. At this moment, Zhou Xinran's inner voice sounded again, and I, who had been reborn, had already prepared a safe house back in my hometown in the countryside. If they help me split up Xinqiang and Fuxi, I'll let the three of them move in. I've stockpiled so many things, and even especially advanced weapons. I'll definitely be able to protect everyone. My whole family believed her words without the slightest doubt. They were indifferent to my attempts to stop them and my questions. Even now, I still can't figure out why they would believe a student from a poor family. How could Zhou Xinran's family, being so poor, possibly afford to buy so many supplies? And this is Huagua. How could she have a weapon? This is clearly a lie. But my parents and brother completely ignored my advice. They immediately treated me as a wicked, unforgivable villain. They even made a fake paternity test report that same day. They told everyone that I was the fake heiress who had been switched at birth. That very night, they kicked me out and welcomed Zhou Xinran, this imposter and true heiress, back into the Shin family. Fate gave me a chance to be reborn. She also gave me the ability to change her new voice. In this life, I will definitely make sure to kill her brutally. At this moment, Zhou Xinran was standing in my living room, greeting everyone gently. Hello, uncle and aunt. Hello, big brother. Everyone smiled and greeted her one by one, just as she was about to, as in my previous life, deceive my family with her false inner voice and make them despise me. I directly revised all her inner thoughts. Is this fat old man Xinqiang's dad? His belly is bigger than that of a full-term octuplet. Oh my god. And he hasn't even shaved his beard. So ugly. Is this overdone? Plasticky zombie. Her mom. Didn't they say rich people are all elegant ladies? Why do I feel like she looks more country than the old women in our village? Her brother is funny too. He even wears AJ at home. And who knows if they're real? Anyway, he's trying way too hard. His dark circles are practically falling onto his chest. He looks totally worn out. And he's ugly as hell. How exactly has Xinqiang managed to live in this family? Is she some kind of ninja turtle? Truly amazing. These words were all carefully crafted by me. I specifically chose to attack the weakest points of my family. My dad is afraid of people calling him fat. And my mom is afraid of people calling her ugly. My brother hates it most when people say his shoes are fake and that he's pretentious. After everyone heard her inner thoughts, my whole family was in an uproar. My mom was the first to lose her temper and start cursing. "What are you doing at my house, you little dead girl from some backwater hick town? Don't you know to change your shoes when you come in? Bringing your country bumpkin dirt in here. Do you know how expensive the rugs in our house are? They're all custom made by foreign artisans, and each rug costs at least 200,000 yuan. You couldn't earn 200,000 yuan in your whole life, could you?" Unbelievable. My mom had always been famous in the ladies' circle for her sharp tongue and petty nature, and she looked down on poor people the most. With my inner thoughts just now backing her up, my mom's first impression of Zhou Xinran couldn't have been worse. Naturally, there was no warm expression on her face toward her. Zhou Xinran's face instantly turned deathly pale, and she looked at my mom in disbelief. She didn't know that I had altered her inner thoughts. She only found my mom utterly unbelievable. I heard her say, "How could this be? Shouldn't they have accepted my proposal and treated me like the real daughter, system? What on earth is going on?" I couldn't hear what the system said to her, but I still recklessly altered her inner thoughts. "That old hag is still cursing me. How ridiculous. I don't even know whether that carpet is real or not. She's just putting on airs. A person's image when they go out is all self-made anyway. Maybe that carpet cost only $2. Wholesale. What's she pretending to be, some rich person? This house was probably rented by them, right? It's really laughable." My mom was furious at her words. She immediately ran upstairs to open the safe. She is going to use her luxury goods and real estate today to prove that she is very rich. I saw my mother hurrying upstairs. Zhou Xinran became even more confused. What on earth is going on? Why isn't this following the plot? Is this system even working or not? I order you to hurry up and restore everything to how it was. My brother and my dad looking at each other in the hall at this moment, I suddenly heard Zhou Xinran's inner voice. "That damn old hag just ran off, leaving only these two ugly bastards and a fat pig. If I'd known, I would have brought some cabbage to cut the grease. Failing that, garlic would have worked too. God knows I can barely stand here right now. There's a stinking pig head smell all over the place, ugh, but I can't leave yet. I still want to get some money out of them to spend. Who told me I'm poor? My family doesn't have money, so I can only find some rich people and squeeze a little cash out of them." Shindi started cursing outright, but he was cursing me. "Xinchang, how many times have I told you not to associate with shady people? How come you just refuse to listen to advice? It's one thing to get involved with a woman like that, but you even gave her our home address. You've just let our fine feng shui spot get stained with all this bad luck." I hurriedly explained. "I never told her our home address at all. Do you know how she found out where we live?" Shindi immediately caught the crucial information and stepped up to grab Zhou Xinran by the arm, grab her from behind with her hands tied. "Did you stalk my sister or not? You've really got some nerve. A poor student daring to come to our house for money. Are you crazy? Did you even look in a mirror before coming out? Do you spend every day living in fantasies? If you're really that poor, then drop out and go work. Don't sit here all day making up all this nonsense." Zhou Xinran was so anxious she was almost crying. "No, I didn't. I wasn't stalking her." My dad was also a very emotional person. Hearing himself being called a fat pig, he was completely devastated. But he also couldn't bring himself to lash out at the junior. He directly called the principal in front of Zhou Xinran. "Principal Liu, is there a student named Zhou Xinran on the list of people our school sponsors? Stop the sponsorship immediately. Blacklist her from your school's financial aid list permanently. She doesn't deserve poverty assistance." Being permanently blacklisted from the financial aid list is a penalty reserved for students with serious breaches of trust. Our school usually does this only to students who falsely claim their families are very poor and cheat to obtain financial aid. By then, even if she ends up first in the entire department, the school won't give her any reward either. We're in Haishur, a place where land is worth its weight in gold. The expenses are already higher here than in ordinary cities. If she lost her poverty subsidy, she'd really have to pray every day for a northwest wind. When Zhou Xinran heard this, she completely panicked. In desperation, she knelt on the ground and kowtowed to my dad. "Uncle, I'm begging you, please don't suspend the sponsorship. I really need this money. My family is utterly destitute, and we have nothing at home. Please, if I don't have this money, I'll die. My dad shook off her hand as it clutched at his pants. What the hell does that have to do with me? That day, her inner voice echoed for a long time in the living room. Why is this happening? I hate you all so much. How could you do this to me? Your whole family will get what's coming to you. I'm the female lead of this novel, and you actually treated me so badly. Later, my brother kicked her out with one swift kick. Only then did the family finally find peace. At lunchtime, they couldn't help but ask me, where did you meet such an odd girl? Never have any contact with her again. I nervously rubbed my hands together. Okay, just wait. Once I'm done with Zhou Xinran, you three will be next. In my previous life, I died so miserably. All thanks to the three of you fanning the flames. This time, none of you will get off easy. The next day, Fuxi refused to get in my car. He stood straight and looked down on the Rolls-Royce in front of my house with disdain. I'm not going to school in the same car with you. Even if you beg me, I still won't ride in the same car with you. It wasn't until just before I died in my previous life that I learned the two of them had already been involved with each other for a long time. Because Fuxi had once been an illegitimate child, he had also lived through a few hard years. He felt that he and Zhou Xinran shared a particularly strong common language. I'm just a wealthy family's princess, high up above everyone else. Every time he was with me, he felt suffocated by all my fussy rules. God knows I just don't like it when people smack their lips while eating. I only told him not to eat in the car, so, if I'm not mistaken, by now he and Zhou Xinran are probably already having a secret flirtation behind my back. Not wanting to get into my car today was clearly done on purpose for my sake. As smart as I am, I naturally understood the implication behind his words. What he meant was that he wanted to take our family's car to school, but he couldn't let me go with him. He wanted the car to take him there alone. LOL, what a brilliant scheme he's got going. Who says men aren't schemers? To me, he's eyes all over from head to toe, even though his family lives in the same villa district as ours. But we are a century-old aristocratic family in Haicheng. Their family is just a nouveau riche that only had its glory a couple of years ago. The luxury cars in the family had already all been sold off long ago. If it weren't for me, he would never have ridden in a car with a starlight ceiling in all his life. In his compliant gaze, I jumped straight into the car. Uncle Zheng, drive, we're going to be late. Just as the car was about to start, Fuxi finally reacted. Xincheng, what are you doing? I rolled my eyes at him. Going to school, he shouted anxiously. Why won't you take me there? I was speechless. You were the one who said you weren't going with me. Don't you always say that a real man keeps his word and never takes it back? What's wrong? Did you forget to bring your bird when you went out today? Turned into a gentleman lady, he got choked hard by my words, standing there and cursing me. Say what you will, but the soundproofing in a Rolls-Royce is really good. As long as the window is rolled up, I can't even hear it if he farts loudly outside. Only after arriving at school did I realize that the classmates in our class could also hear Zhou Xinran's inner voice. This must be the thing her so-called system came up with. But I tried it, and I can still change her inner thoughts. In that case, I'm going to tear off her hypocritical facade once and for all. I'll let everyone see clearly what kind of person she really is. I had just sat down in my seat with my school bag. Zhou Xinran turned around and started talking to me. Xincheng, you don't look too good. Don't take what Uncle and Auntie said last night to heart. I'm not going to do a paternity test with them. Don't worry, even if I really am their child, I won't come back to take your place. At this moment, her inner voice was, why is the fake heiress treating me like this? She has already taken away more than 20 years of my privileged life, yet she won't let me return to my family, and won't allow me to be with my biological mom and dad. Why is my life so miserable? Oh heavens, is there anyone who can save me? This poor real heiress. I changed her inner thoughts to, may heaven bless me. Please, please don't let Xincheng tell the classmates about me and Fuxi. Although on the surface I seem to be the one who came later, and the one who isn't loved is the mistress. I haven't really done anything wrong. This bunch of classmates in our class are all despicable sycophants who look down on the weak and fawn on the powerful. Once I secretly get a paternity test and pass it off as the real thing, I'll be the Shin family's true heiress. I'll deal with each and every one of these classmates who look down on the poor and fawn on the rich. The classroom instantly erupted into chaos. In everyone's eyes, Zhou Xinran had always been the model impoverished student, gentle, virtuous, and hardworking. Everyone had assumed she was a beautiful, kind-hearted small-town girl. As a result, she naturally received a bit more care and favoritism. But at this point, Everyone was shocked to discover that she had not only interfered in the relationship between Fushi and me, she also wanted to take over my place and claim my identity as the real heiress. In an instant, everyone's image of her shattered. No one expected her to be so scheming. Everyone threw her disgusted, scrutinizing glances. I looked at her and said, "Class is about to start, please stop talking." I finally experienced the thrill of framing Zhou Xinran last time. Whenever she framed me like this, was she also especially happy? This time, it was finally my turn to be happy. Seeing Zhou Xinran get humiliated, I was overjoyed. The whole class period, I was wildly rewriting her inner thoughts. Wang Qi is hideous. Why doesn't that buck-toothed freak tie her teeth up with a piece of rope every time I talk to her? I'm afraid her teeth will scrape me. Who smells so bad? Is it Lin Dandan? She reeks like dead fish. Does she have some gynecological disease? Why is that skinny monkey staring at me for no reason? Does he have a crush on me? Without an 800,000 bride price? I don't want anything to do with him. Just as the morning class was about to end, Fushi finally hurried over. Their family hasn't been doing very well lately, and they've been trying to manage the broken capital chain. His father sold every car at home that could be sold, only a BMW Mini was left, but he drove it himself. Our university is quite far from the villa area, and it takes more than 2 hours just to drive there. Taking other transportation would only be farther. Fushi stood up for Zhou Xinran and refused to ride in my car. Of course, if he had wanted to, I still wouldn't have let him get in anyway. He skipped 4 classes today. As the final exam week officially arrived, the college was especially strict about catching absences. He was caught by the student union for skipping 4 classes. The teacher directly wrote down his name. We've already reached our junior year. We're about to start our internship. The school has a rule that if you fail 4 courses in 1 semester, you'll be forced to repeat the year. He's already a reserve underclassman. LOL. Final exam week has arrived lately. The study workload is relatively heavy. I moved back into the house I bought near the school to make studying more convenient. At noon that day, while we were eating, the smart door lock suddenly kept making a verification failure alert sound. It startled me badly. I quickly opened my phone. I checked the app for the door lock. The person outside trying to unlock the door was Fushi. By the 10th wrong password attempt, he was so anxious that sweat was pouring down his face, yet she was furious beyond words. She banged hard on my door. Shin Chang, when did you change the password? Open the door right now. This house is half mine, and my things are still inside. What right do you have to lock me out? This damn man really knows how to push his luck. When I bought a house by the school gate back then, he said I was being extravagant and wasteful. The money you're spending isn't even your own money, it's your parents' money, and you're still being so extravagant and wasteful. Right now, since you haven't married me yet, I won't say anything about it, but once you marry me, if you're still this extravagant and wasteful, I won't let you off. Back then, I still thought he was just poor and hadn't seen much of the world. Thinking about it now, wasn't that just poor me back then? I was just too stupid. I didn't even realize what he was implying. Now that I think about it again, it feels as disgusting as swallowing a mouthful of flies. As for the house he says is half his, all he did was shamelessly insist on taking one of my rooms back then. He stayed here for 1 night, now there's only half the house left to him. Oh my god, he really knows how to take advantage of people. I couldn't be bothered to deal with him, so I directly called security. 5 minutes later, the hallway outside fell quiet again. During the final exam, Zhou Xinran has thoroughly offended everyone in the class. During this time, what happened between her and Fushi became known to everyone. The two of them stopped hiding it. Everyone knew that She and I were engaged. If all goes as expected, we will get married right after graduation, and I am the one who has been supporting her. Her actions are nothing short of betraying the kindness I've shown her. Everyone hates her, as the saying goes. A just cause enjoys abundant support, while an unjust one finds little. Now that no one is willing to pay attention to her, she can only stick with Fushi all the time. These past few days, Fushi has been sending me harassing messages, saying that he was just playing around with Zhou Xinran. Only with me is it real. I am his only wife. He is doing this now only out of sympathy for Zhou Xinran. Now Zhou Xinran has been isolated by many people. If you weren't here, Zhou Xinran would have become so lonely that she would have fallen into depression and committed suicide. That's hilarious. You really think you're the savior. I ignored him, but that doesn't mean I won't stir up trouble. Today is the day they will break apart. During the exam, it's divided by student ID. They are far away from each other. But since Zhou Xinran can transmit thoughts, she voluntarily offered to pass answers to Fuxi, who is struggling academically. I also couldn't help but interfere in the process. When Zhou Xinran said A, I changed it to C. When she said D, I changed it to B. Many classmates in the class noticed something was off. The students who had originally been eagerly listening to the answers also quietly went off to calculate the problems themselves. Only Fuxi kept grinning foolishly, quickly handed in a zero-score paper, and strutted out proudly. I followed behind them as well, secretly carrying out the plan to alter hearts and minds. The two of them walked hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder. Occasionally, they kissed each other after walking for a while. Zhou Xinran cried out, "Brother Shi, when are you finally going to take me away and live somewhere else? Everyone in the dormitory bullies me. I really can't stay there anymore. They all call me the other woman I just fell in love with." "You, how did I become the other woman, brother? Is loving you wrong?" "I don't agree." Fuxi clenched his fists in anger. "Don't worry, I will definitely make Xinchang give back that apartment. When I bought it, I said that if you want to marry me, this house has to be under my name. But she just wouldn't listen, saying I could live there, but I couldn't take ownership. What a joke. Once I marry her, everything she has will be mine. Why act all high and mighty, afraid I'll take it? It's all mine anyway." Hearing this, I really had the urge to rush up and slap him a few times. At that moment, Zhou Xinran's inner thoughts came. Is this guy still thinking about marrying Xinchang? Then what about me? No. I have to think of a way to hold on to him tightly. I directly changed it to, could it be that Fuxi is a penniless loser? I've long heard he's an illegitimate child, and illegitimate children are all very lowly beings, he's used to being the mistress's son. I don't want to be the mistress at all. He's only in his 20s, but his health is worse than a 70-year-old man's. If it weren't for the money, would I be with him? Every time I have contact with him, it makes me feel utterly disgusted, if this guy were broke, I'd definitely make him suffer. Fuxi heard these words, the affection in his eyes turned completely into shock. He pointed at Zhou Xinran's nose and shouted, "You've always thought I'm an unworthy illegitimate son, right? What the hell gives you the right to think that? I didn't look down on you for being from a small town with a poor background, did I? I'm way richer than you, you know. At least I have a household registration in Haishur. My family lives in a villa district. Our annual property management fee is more expensive than your entire house. What are you even pretending for? You still look down on me." Hilarious. Zhou Xinran was frantic. She hurriedly tried to explain desperately, "You've misunderstood. How could I possibly think that way about you? I'm really not that kind of person." Seeing them arguing in the street, even resorting to physical violence, I finally felt at ease and left. The real show is just beginning. At the start of summer vacation, I came to the family business to learn. My brother is a typical playboy heir, a big good-for-nothing, with no skills at all, lazy, unwilling to study, only fond of playing. But still, because he was a boy, the family gave him all their assets. In the previous life, Zhou Xinran is obsessed with love. Her only goal is to marry Fuxi, and she cares about nothing else. As a result, the Shin family business was taken over by Shin Di. Within 4 or 5 years, it became bankrupt. So much money was lost by him. No matter what, I must secure this family fortune, protect the Shin family business and become the CEO myself, then make the three of them live a life of constant displacement. I am someone who holds grudges very deeply. I won't let any of them live comfortably, I swear it. At work, I study every day until very late. I didn't get home until 11 o'clock. I quickly became familiar with all the departments, much better than Shindi, who holds the position of vice president in the company but never shows up for work or clocks, and even the new employees thought our family had only me as the only daughter. Gradually, different voices began to emerge within the company. Rumors that I would soon inherit the Shin family business were also spreading more and more intensely. At the same time, I immediately arranged for numerous exclusive interviews in front of outsiders. I created the persona that my father, Shin Jianchan, favored daughters over sons and valued ability above all else. Because this is truly popular now, after building up the image of a man who loves women, our company's performance has been steadily increasing. My father is a businessman. Once they get a taste of the benefits, they'll increasingly lean toward the path I've prearranged. He registered a short video account himself. Every day, he posts some daily moments of doting on his daughter. Under the deliberate guidance of the trolls I arranged, he appointed me as the vice president of the group. My desk was right in his office. Gradually, Perhaps because he had told too many lies, he truly believed he loved me deeply. Every time there's something that requires a decision, he always asks me, "Sweetie, what do you think we should do about this?" Daddy will listen to whatever you say. When others give their daughters houses and cars, he gives them too, of course. All of this needs to be filmed for videos. Posting it online could also help him gain a wave of new followers. Middle-aged men love flattery the most. Everyone's praising him as a great dad, a great dad. He became increasingly lost in the praise of others. He stopped caring about my brother. He said my brother was hopeless, like mud that can't be helped up a wall, and that his own daughter was the warm, comforting little jacket. 1 year later, when I graduated from university, other classmates were still striving to find jobs. While I had already become a successful female entrepreneur, I founded my own company and brand. He also served as a vice president with real authority at Shin Group. Sometimes, when his subordinates had issues they couldn't decide on, they would come directly to me instead of asking my father. The moment I truly gained real authority, the first thing I did, it was about acquiring the barely surviving Fu Group. The day we went to the Fu Group to discuss the acquisition, I went in person. When the secretary saw us arrive, she turned red with panic. "The young Mr. Fu is currently busy, you can't go in." I pointed at the slightly ajar door. "Isn't this door open?" the secretary stammered as she blocked our way. "Oh, well, you just can't go in, it's really not convenient." The more she tried to hide things, the more intrigued I became, deliberately bringing up my fiancé status. "Move out of the way, I have a marriage engagement with Mr. Fu, which hasn't been dissolved yet. I'm his official fiancé. How dare you block me?" The secretary gasped. "What, Mr. Fu has a fiancé? Then what about him and Secretary Zhou?" I didn't wait for the secretary to react. With a team of people in tow, I stormed into the CEO's office, which was left wide open. As soon as I entered the room, I was met with a shocking sight. In broad daylight, the two of them were just that impatient. Afushi, seeing that it was me, immediately grabbed his laptop and hurled it at me. "Get out! What are you doing bringing so many people here?" I dodged the laptop, looking at the shattered pieces lying on the ground. I couldn't help but smile. A laptop worth tens of thousands of yuan was smashed to pieces like that. He will definitely pay for what he did today. After all, he'll never be able to afford such a good computer in the future. LMAO. I looked at him. "I'm here to discuss the acquisition." Fu Shi glared at me fiercely. "You're the one who wants to acquire Fu Corporation." "I'm not selling." Zhou Shinran hid in his embrace, finally managing to put on her clothes. "Sister, it's my fault. I seduced Mr. Fu. Please don't be angry with him because of this. Don't be so ruthless toward your fiancé. Since your two families agreed to the marriage alliance, you've been sharing both glory and disgrace, united as one. Why let such a small matter cause unhappiness?" Fu Shi couldn't stop nodding in agreement. Yes, Shinran is right." I gave each of them a big eye roll. "You really think being neurotic is high emotional intelligence?" Zhou Shinran's inner thoughts could still be heard by everyone, but this time, I didn't even need to change anything. What she said was already offensive. Xinchang is so ridiculous. She's so obsessed with her career that her hormones are all out of whack. Right, what's so great about having so much money? She still doesn't have a man to keep her satisfied. Seeing me getting intimate with her fiancé, she must be so furious she's about to go crazy, right? Ha 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 ha. The one who isn't loved is the mistress, the discarded wife. Did you bring so many people to catch me cheating? How ridiculous. Do you really think I have no backup plan? I had long since moved the Fu family's money out and was ready to immigrate. I've already gotten my green card. Ha 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 ha. Even if I can't make it in China, I can still live it up overseas. Everyone present was stunned, because everyone's lives are actually quite normal, and they rarely encounter such bizarre mental cases. Hearing her insane remarks, many people expressed that their worldview was slightly shaken. Among those present, there were even people who looked at me with sympathetic eyes. No one knows. I actually love her being this mentally unstable. The more unstable, the more frenzied, the better. After all, as the old saying goes, to kill a man, one must first drive him mad. She was just one step away from pushing her luck too far. Fu Shi grabbed her by the throat, his eyes wide with fury as he demanded, "You took my money." "I didn't." Cough cough. "I didn't." The Fu Corporation employees present rushed forward to intervene, afraid that Fu Shi might really lose his cool and strangle someone to death. I stood gracefully in place, watching their farce unfold. If only I had a pack of sunflower seeds in my hand right now. the news of Shin Group acquiring Fu Group made it to the trending topics. The Fu family will be completely renamed to Chang. After the restructuring, many people don't understand why I don't call it the Shin family, because I want to create my own business empire. Fu Shi originally intended to report Zhou Xinran, sending her to prison as an economic criminal. But I never expected, at this critical moment, Zhou Xinran turned out to be pregnant. This child instantly became her get-out-of-jail-free card. The two of them, with the remaining money, started a store as its owners, preparing to get married and have a child. I have no interest in their affairs. If I suddenly think of them, I'll have someone cause them a little trouble. My focus then shifts to seizing power within the family. The family members gradually become aware of my ambitions, but I've already taken control of both the Say family's reputation and real power. My father wanted to say something, but he didn't dare. My mother did try to advise me a few times. Being a girl, it would be so much better to stay at home. Take care of your husband and children. Why insist on being a strong woman? Mom really feels heartbroken seeing you exposed to wind and sun every day. I smiled. I have a car picking me up and dropping me off every day. I live in a villa, and I work in an office. Don't worry, there's no wind, no sun. She said again. Then what's the point of you running the Shin family business so well? When you get married, you'll still have to give everything to your brother. I smiled faintly. It's okay, Mom, I can find someone to marry into the family. Nowadays, men are mostly money-driven. As long as I offer enough, they'll come. My mother was speechless. Given that I hold all the power of them now, even their living expenses are funded by me. They have to go through me. If they piss me off, I'll just pretend I don't know and freeze all their cards. They became obedient. I used money to control them completely. The day of the showdown arrived quickly. Shindi demanded my rights. Why would a girl like you take my things away? Don't you think you're being a bit too extreme? Looking across the entire high city, how many families have allowed their daughters to inherit the family fortune when they have sons? I directly patted his shoulder. Take it easy, brother. I believe you have a fairly accurate self-assessment, don't you? You've worked in a company before, so tell me, how many years do you think Shang can last with your abilities? There's an old Chinese saying, he who knows the right time is a true hero. If you behave yourself and stay as the idle vice president, I'll pay you 200,000 yuan per month. But if you insist on competing with me, I can easily take all of Shang's employees and start a new Shang's. Shindi was convinced by me. After signing the employment agreement, he never came to see me again. Seeing that even the person directly involved didn't bother to argue, my parents thought it was even less necessary, and pretended nothing had happened. I took power so smoothly. I became the real Mr. Shin, and I did not forget their cruelty towards me in my previous life. When I had nothing to do, I would have the nanny abuse them. They can't speak up about their troubles, holding my money yet unable to openly confront me. They can only endure it. Every time I come home, they desperately try to complain to me. I pretend to be unaware and scold the nanny instead. Seeing them unhappy makes me incredibly happy every day. This time it has been fully verified once again. The so-called end of the world is nothing but a lie. 10 years later, I still haven't seen the end of the world arrive. On the other hand, my business empire has expanded considerably. Once, while attending a meeting, I forgot to bring a document with me. My subordinate arranged for a flash delivery to send it to me. I saw the delivery person. It was Zhou Xinran. When she saw me, she immediately covered her face with her hair. After asking for my pickup code, she hurried to leave. I noticed the hatred in her eyes and couldn't help but become cautious. She has always been a petty person, and I believe one's nature is hard to change. She must be jealous now. Seeing me succeed, she probably thinks I took something that belonged to her. As expected, when I went back in the evening, I heard her inner thoughts in the underground garage. Last time, everything went according to plan, I also became the daughter of a wealthy family and married into the richest Fu family. Why did things turn out like this in this life? That was when I realized she had also been reborn. It seems she has left the system, but the inner thoughts are still audible to everyone. The flaw remains. She hid behind a pillar in the underground parking lot. She thought she had hidden perfectly, but her inner voice has long been bothering me. I asked the secretary what had happened to Fu Shi recently. Only then did I find out he opened a shop, but because business was poor, he never updated the ingredients. Cooking with dirty, spoiled meat and rotten vegetables made customers sick. The shop was directly shut down, and he had to pay a large sum of money in compensation. After that, he could only make a living by delivering food and driving for ride-sharing services. but the money he earned had to support not only his own family but also his parents. Zhou Xinran couldn't take it anymore. So I ended up arguing with him every day. As it turned out, Fu Shi had no bottom line. He just went off to be a sugar baby for a rich woman. Originally, they were still able to make ends meet with the money Fu Shi earned, but the wealthy woman's husband found out. He immediately sent people to beat him half to death. Now he's still alive with an artificial anus, barely surviving at home, too afraid to even step outside. Zhou Xinran had no choice but to shoulder the heavy burden of the family. So when she saw me dressed elegantly attending a high-end business event, she completely lost control. She came to my house, staked me out, and prepared to kill me, but I gripped the steering wheel. I restarted the car. She seemed to have forgotten I'm such a wealthy woman. I own more houses than she has in her bank account. I'm moving to another place. You can just stay there and sit quietly on your own. What are your thoughts after hearing this story? Feel free to share your feelings in the comments section. Now, let's begin a new story. One day, when I came home, there was a wild little black dog with pure black fur and a small white patch on its chest. Mom, this puppy is so small and already lost its mother. I want to take care of it. This dog doesn't look special. It's already so strong at such a young age. It'll definitely become aggressive once it grows up. Let's send it away. In theory, no matter what kind of animal, its juvenile stage always shows a certain cuteness, but this little black dog's wild, untamable eyes always make me feel uneasy deep inside. My son plopped down on the ground, picked up the puppy, and started acting stubborn, crying and fussing. My husband and in-laws quickly joined in, blaming me for lacking compassion. From then on, the little dog started acting like a demolition crew in my home. No matter how sturdy a cage I put it in, it always managed to escape, until one day, the black dog took advantage of us being out and chewed through the faucet in the house. The entire home renovation was ruined, and the damage even affected our neighbors downstairs. My blood boiled to the top of my head, and I grabbed a kitchen knife, ready to cook dog meat. Hot pot. My son secretly let the dog escape and also broke my phone, preventing me from contacting the property management to catch the dog. The dog wasn't caught, and we ended up losing all our savings. My husband blamed me for not keeping the dog under control and divorced me. I didn't manage to secure either a child or a house, and I returned to my parents' home in disgrace. 5 years later, I came home from work as usual. I found the front door unlocked, and upon opening it, I was met with an extremely gruesome scene. The entire place was stained with crimson, and my parents' dismembered limbs and remains were scattered all over the floor. Before I could react and bolt out, a tall, dark figure emerged from inside the room and yanked me in. When I regained consciousness again, time had rewound back to the day my son brought the dog home. The tiny puppy's wild, untamed eyes locked onto me, saliva dripping from its mouth, the memory of being licked by its tongue, tearing off my face, and having my bones crushed just before I died in my past life was still vividly fresh. My legs and feet felt as if they were filled with heavy iron, unable to move an inch. My son looked at me with sparkling eyes, his face full of excitement. Mom, the puppy lost its mother so young. I want to take care of it. I glanced at my husband on the sofa, who looked guilty and avoided my gaze, and at my in-laws, whose eyes were filled with pride and admiration for their grandson's kindness. Mom, Dad, husband, didn't we agree to bring the child back to our hometown to pay respects to our ancestors? Aren't you going to explain about this dog? My in-laws have always enjoyed keeping dogs since their days in the countryside, using them to guard the house and yard. They said matter-of-factly, it's just a dog, it only needs a bit of food, and it can also watch the house. If my dear grandson wants to keep it, then let him. That's right. After all, we two old folks have nothing to do at home anyway. Walking the dog would be a good way to pass the time, and it won't take up any of yours. My husband is the typical kind of man who believes whatever my parents say is right. Sure enough, in the next second, all traces of guilt vanished from my husband's face, and he spoke with righteous conviction. Honey, since both our parents and our son like the idea, let's get one. They've already said they'll take care of it. The son followed up with a sentence. Mom, look, Dad and Grandpa and Grandma have both agreed, words almost identical to those from his past life. It turned out that his husband and in-laws hadn't agreed out of pity for the crying grandson at all. It was something we had already discussed with our son long ago. I took a deep breath and exhaled, looking at the young puppy, still too small to pose any threat. I smiled. Let's raise it. The son's smile was no longer as genuine as it had been at first. Mom, are you sure? didn't you used to hate cats and dogs the most? So the son remembered then his insistence on bringing a stray dog back from the rural mountains held a deeper, more intriguing meaning. I suppressed my disgust and fear, gently stroked the black dog's head, and said in a soft voice, "Who said that? I'm just too busy with work, and I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to take good care of them. Who doesn't like something fluffy?" The black dog's vigilant, icy gaze gradually softened under my head patting and the dog food my father-in-law and mother-in-law brought to feed it. "Wife, you're so kind. I knew you were the kindest and most loving person in this world." It's right to agree. Back in our hometown, this is the kind of dog we used to raise. With it in the house, we can sleep soundly. Good grandson, are you happy? From now on, you'll have a puppy to play with. The black dog was actually a black bear cub. Not only was it highly intelligent, but it also had a strong vengeful streak. In my past life, I strongly opposed raising this black dog, which looked clearly off, the first one to be targeted by the black dog's resentment when it first started tearing the house apart. It would only destroy things that carried my scent most strongly. Not only did it affect my life, it almost got me fired from the company. I broke down in tears and demanded that my husband and in-laws send the black dog away. They, however, said coldly, "Why does it only bite your documents, computer, clothes, and jewelry, and not ours? Don't you need to reflect on yourself?" Later, the black dog repeatedly injured people in the residential community and tore houses apart. I could see that they also hated the black dog. It was just that every time, they had to push me out to be the villain in this son's eyes who ostracized the black dog by the cage, by the chains, apologize and pay compensation, repair the house again. They didn't do any of that, so in the end, the only one the black bear remembered was me. Clearly, the black bear had never even been to my parents' home, yet it still wiped out my entire family with uncanny accuracy. In this life, I will no longer stop my son from raising a dog. Likewise, I will no longer bear the consequences of raising a dog for their whole family. I readily agreed, and instead my son kept following up with me, asking repeatedly, Mom, I'm going to keep it for its whole life. You know, dogs can live more than 10 years. Do you really have no objections? Look at how much fur Xiaohei has. When the seasons change, the house will definitely be full of its hair flying everywhere. Xiaohei is so big and strong now that he already eats about as much as I do. When he grows up, maybe he'll even eat more than our whole family. At that point, I was sure that my son didn't like this dog nearly as much as he had claimed in his past life. Hearing this, I stood up and placed the hand I'd just used to pet the dog on my son's head. I patted his head the same way I had petted the dog. You've already given it a name, so that means you're its owner. You have to be responsible for it to the very end. You can't give up halfway. Understand? My son stared at me in utter disbelief. He didn't notice at all that I had wiped all the loose fur and dirt I'd picked up from the black dog onto his head. All right, since we've decided to keep little black, Mom and Dad, hurry up and get it a dog bed, food bowl, and dog food. The mother-in-law's face, smiling like a chrysanthemum, instantly fell. You young people know more about this stuff. Just buy a few things online. I won't meddle and make a mess of it. The father-in-law chimed in to back her up. That's right. Just tap your phone and the stuff will be delivered to your door. Hurry up, don't let little Hay have nowhere to sleep tonight. I innocently spread my hands. But didn't you say just now that you had experience raising dogs and that I didn't need to worry about taking care of it? What I understood was that I wouldn't have to lift a finger for Xiaohai's food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Isn't that right? My in-laws' faces darkened, and my husband hurried out to smooth things over. Wife, how can you talk like that? How much could buying these things even cost? We're all family. Do you really have to keep score so clearly? My heart tightened fiercely. I looked at my husband as if I didn't even know him. It had been the same in my previous life. They were the ones who said they wanted to support the whole family, but as they kept supporting us, it went from big things like getting sick and buying medicine to small things like eating, drinking, and even using the bathroom. Aside from the effortless, free companionship, everything else is being borne by me alone, I said with a hint of sarcasm. Indeed, it doesn't cost much. Dog nest, dog food, food bowl, leash, cage, and for now that's about it, just a few thousand yuan. After finishing, I had already displayed the payment QR code. Honey, round it up and just transfer me 10,000. When I've used it up, I'll tell you again. 3 sharp cries of outrage instantly rang out in the living room. It's just a dog, how could it possibly need that much money? 10,000 yuan, that's robbery. By you, Isn't your money my money? You eat my food, drink my drinks, and now you want me to give you money to raise a dog? Are you out of your mind? Seeing that neither of them was willing to pay, I pointed the payment code at my son. His children's watch had money on it, and it was also linked to the bank card where he had been saving his yearly lucky money. Son, Xiaohei is, after all, a living being. Since you picked it up, you should be responsible for it. How about you pay for this? My son quickly backed away behind his dad, clutching his wrist and staring at me as if I were a thief. Mom, I'm just a child. How can you ask a child for money? Tisk. I looked at the bewildered dog with a serious expression. Xiaohei, it's not that I don't want to keep you, it's just that they're unwilling to pay for the things you need to live. You'd better go wander on your own. That said, I didn't actually drag it away. Instead, I tore open one of my son's snack sausages and fed it to Xiaohei. After a heated argument, my husband still reluctantly transferred me 5,000 yuan. Use it sparingly. A dog bed, dog food, and the like are fine as long as they're decent enough. No need to buy the best kind. I could clearly see the disgust that surfaced in his eyes when he looked at the black dog. The corners of my lips curved up in delight. Okay, I'll take care of it. Honey, you're so kind-hearted. You really dote on our son. Under the cannibalistic glares of her parents-in-law and the starry-eyed admiration of her son, her husband silently swallowed the bitter loss. After feeding the last snack sausage to the black dog, I turned and went back into the room. Faintly, the sounds of an argument among the 3 generations in the living room drifted over. It's just a dog that was basically picked up for free. Why give her so much money? Isn't that just wasting money? Son, you're being foolish. With 5,000, how much delicious food could that buy for my dear grandson? How could you just give it to her like that? All right, Mom, Dad, didn't you say yourselves that you'd help take care of Si Heng's dog? I'm just paying for your decision. Dad, didn't you say you're the best to me, and that I can tell you anything I want? Son, you don't know that 5,000 yuan is enough to buy a beautiful pet dog. Sigh, forget it, you're still young and don't understand. I, however, did not do as they wished and put in extra money to buy supplies and dog food for the black dog. After closing the door, I began packing up my own belongings. If it can be put in the top cabinet of the wardrobe, put it there. If not, lock it in the suitcase or safe. Among them, the items in the suitcase were the most important: documents, bank cards, computers, and valuable jewelry. Although the black bear was highly destructive, it was still young, and its teeth were not yet strong enough to chew through a suitcase. After all this was done, the arguing outside had almost come to an end. I wiped the sweat off my face and walked out. Honey, I checked online, and the fastest delivery is still next day. Why don't you drive Xiaohei to the pet store now and buy some things to use for the time being? Even though he had just returned from our hometown, as soon as he heard that he could go out to play, our son still jumped up. Dad, Mom, I want to go too. Let's set off now. My in-laws glanced at me sidelong, their tone neither warm nor cold. You'll be going too, right? I nodded naturally. Of course, I was just planning to send back some clothes I'm not wearing for the time being and leave them with my parents. I had just dragged my suitcase out when my mother-in-law reached out to snatch it from me. Let me see what's in there. You've already had the baby, and you're still hauling good things back to your maiden home. Do you not want this marriage anymore? I nimbly dodged her and said in a cold voice, Mom, this is my personal property. You have no right to inspect it. His gaze shot at his husband, who was staring suspiciously at my suitcase, like a knife. Yen Zhe, do you think the same? If you say it's just some clothes you don't wear, then what's the problem with letting my mom take a look? My father-in-law and son also chimed in one after another, urging me to hand over the suitcase. So this is what your whole family thinks of me. In that case, there's no point in this marriage going on anymore. I don't know whether my husband had taken Black Dog out, but I took a taxi back to my parents' home by myself. After putting my things away, I slept deeply. Within 3 days, my husband, who had declared he wanted to divorce me, came to my door in person to take me home. The shirt and slacks that I always kept perfectly pressed now had obvious wrinkles. His hair was a little disheveled, and stubble had begun to show on his chin. Wife, I know I was wrong. Si Heng and I can't live without you. Please come home with me. This was his old trick for playing the victim in front of my parents. This was something my husband personally told me after we got divorced in my past life, just to mock me for being foolish. Seeing how pitiful my husband looked, Mom couldn't help softening and joined in persuading me. Xiaoyu, what couple doesn't argue? Enough is enough. if you make a big scene, it'll hurt your relationship. I still had so many things I hadn't taken with me. Black Dog is also a hidden danger. I can't let my husband and son once again shift Black Dog's hatred onto me, so I went along with it and put on a show with my husband. Tears fell in an instant, and I reached out to wipe all my tears and snot onto my husband's expensive suit jacket, the one he wouldn't even wrinkle for the sake of acting. Honey, we've been married for over 10 years, and yet you two won't even give me this little bit of trust. I'm just going back to my parents' home, and you still have to inspect my suitcase. Seeing how pitiful I looked, Mom went along with me and scolded her son-in-law a couple of times. Yanzai, on this point, you and your parents were in the wrong. In all the years Xiaoyu has been married to you, when has she ever done anything to wrong you? How could you possibly suspect her like this? Through the shimmering water, I could faintly make out my husband staring at my hands, his face twisted almost beyond recognition. Even this kind of high-end item can't be washed with water, it's extremely delicate. I pressed on and went further, simply hugging him and using his jacket to wipe my face. I slapped away his hand when he tried to push me off, grabbed his collar, and started questioning him. Wah, look at this. Back then you clearly said your parents were coming to help take care of the child and, by the way, look after us. And what happened? I was only away for a day, and even your collar is all wrinkled and dirty. Back when my son was just born, my mother-in-law had back pain and my father-in-law had leg pain, and not one of them was willing to come help out. My mother felt sorry for how hard I was working, so she applied for early retirement while taking care of the child. She also took care of my husband's and my daily life. By the time my son was old enough to start kindergarten and just barely able to take care of himself, my mother-in-law and father-in-law joined forces to drive my mother away. After that, the two of them practically became the emperor and empress dowager in my home. When it came to taking care of the child, I used to feel sorry for my mother, so I didn't dare tell my parents about the hardships after my in-laws came. As soon as my mother heard what I meant, she realized that after she left, all the housework at home was being borne by me. She completely stopped falling for my husband's act of playing the victim and acting pitiful. My precious daughter, raised at home without ever having to lift a finger, and this is how you treat her after she married into your family. Yanzai, before the wedding and after your parents came, what did you promise me, and how did you actually follow through? Mom used all her strength to pull my husband away. Get out. You're not welcome in my home, and my daughter will not keep being a free nanny for your family. I clearly heard the sound of fabric tearing, and only then did I let go of my hands, satisfied. Seeing her husband's face turn green, he still had to hold back his temper and beg for mercy. Wife, Mom, let's talk things through nicely, don't start hitting. I felt utterly delighted, but I didn't say a single word to help him. After my husband sincerely stood guard at my family's door for an entire afternoon, I was coaxed into forgiving him and went back home with him. When I got home, I saw the black dog that had been so favored in my past life huddled pitifully in the corner of the balcony. It didn't even have a decent doghouse. Over the next few days, my son was just the same as in my past life. Whenever the adults at home weren't paying attention, he would secretly loosen the clasp on the black dog's collar. Soon, the black dog had a new dog bed, the down jacket her husband had bought with a month's salary last year, but now the weather was too hot, and if I just laid the down jacket down directly, it would easily give the dog a heat rash, so I spread out the bamboo mat from the in-laws' room, which it had chewed up more than half of. Be good, you're not allowed to chew things up anymore. Understand, if you do, I'll stuff it all into your bed. My husband and my in-laws thought I was disciplining the black dog and were pleased to see it. My son clearly didn't think so. Mom, Xiaohei didn't mean it either. You can't blame it for letting its nature out. I casually dragged over the torn cardboard box next to the doghouse. Slowly and leisurely, she tore open the children's snack bag and fed it to the black dog. Son, you said it yourself, since you're so enlightened, you shouldn't mind Xiaohei eating your snacks, right? Mom, those are my snacks, put them down quickly, I haven't even had enough yet. Oh, but the packaging has already been torn to pieces by Xiaohei. If you want to eat them, ask your grandpa and grandma to buy new ones. While my son was rolling around on the ground and throwing a tantrum, I kept brainwashing the black dog. Xiaohei, you're overthinking it, Xing is just young and can't bear to eat it. Deep down, he actually really likes you. Mom, you don't love me anymore. Why are you nicer to the dog than to me? I didn't answer his question afterward. My son complained to my husband and in-laws. I said nothing and quietly opened the surveillance footage in the living room at home. And they heard with their own ears my son telling me not to scold the black dog. Although they still felt sorry for my son, they did not blame me. That dog hasn't been examined, so it might be sick. The packaging is already torn, so you can't eat it. See Hang. Your mother is right. You must not say things like that again in the future. Stop crying. Tomorrow Grandpa will take you to buy a new one. My husband kept looking at me, and seeing that I was really being unusually oblivious today, he coughed once and spoke. By you used to buy all these snacks, and Mom and Dad don't have much pension either, you see. I pretended not to understand, but didn't you used to blame me all the time for buying snacks for the child and spoiling him? Don't worry. I won't do anything like that to lead the child astray again in the future. One sentence left the other four people in the living room completely stunned. Mom is bad. I won't be close to Mom anymore. Wife, that's not what I meant. Good boy, it's okay. You're the root of our Yin family. Even if your mom doesn't love you, you still have Grandpa and Grandma. Will spoil you. If you don't share the same surname, you can't be one family. Don't be afraid. Good boy, you still have Grandpa and Grandma. When they were putting on their grandparent and grandchild harmony act, I slipped back into the room. I repacked a suitcase full of my personal belongings, waiting for the next chance to storm back to my parents' home in a huff. With my son and the black dog around, there was no shortage of such opportunities. Within less than a month, the black dog had frightened children into tears and bitten passers-by so many times that they could no longer be counted on both hands. Every time my son came home, he would only know how to cry. My in-laws were even fiercer and more aggrieved than the victim. My husband hinted at me several times, but I remained unmoved. He might as well have said it outright. Wife, my parents are old, and our son is still young. Why don't you handle it? I'll just show the payment code. Honey, you know my money has all gone toward our son's tutoring and our family expenses. I really don't have any money, sorry, without 10,000 yuan in compensation for emotional distress and an advance payout of damages. There's nothing to discuss. In my past life, when I went humbly to apologize and make compensation, what I received was not just verbal abuse. Those who get emotionally agitated may suddenly lash out and hit people. 10,000 yuan is too little. I'd even say it's underpriced. Although after I was reborn, I never spent another cent on this family, but in the more than 10 years before that, no one can erase what I contributed to this family. Honey, you've changed. You weren't like this before. We didn't have this expense before either. By the way, Xiao Hei's dog food is almost gone. Transfer me some money. What? Didn't I just transfer you 5,000 last month, and it's already gone this fast? Do you think I'm a money printer? So when it came to money, her husband was this practical. I showed my husband the spending records. Look, these are my online shopping records. The 5,000 has long been spent. I also pointed to the many worn-out pieces of furniture at home, and these pieces of furniture too, not to mention the others. But if things like the table and chairs are broken, they have to be replaced. Why do you have to ask me for all this money? Isn't this our home together? Honey, have you forgotten? The house is your premarital property, and I'm out of money. I pretended to be torn and pulled up the purchase records for my son's after-school tutoring classes. If you insist that I pay this money, I can only withdraw my son from his classes. Which class should I cancel? No matter which one I cancel, he'll be heartbroken, right? My husband abruptly turned off my screen and said through gritted teeth, no need to return it, I'll give you the money. The next second, 10,000 yuan was transferred into my phone. The corners of my lips rose unconsciously. Honey, I'll tell our son that you love him the most. What about the hospital? But 10,000 yuan is only enough to replace the dining table and chairs, and the rosewood desk in the study that you like best. I have to go to the hospital first. Take good care of our son and Mom and Dad. We can talk about it when I get back. My husband's hurried departing figure made me feel amused. Hubby, drive slowly. Be careful not to get into an accident on the road. Your third-party liability insurance this year is only 1 million. If you damage anything, we won't be able to afford the compensation. My husband staggered a little and glanced back at me deeply. I know, the black dog's destruction of the faucet happened again. However, since I used the money my husband gave me to replace the furniture to buy a smart main water valve with automatic shutoff for leaks this time, unlike in my previous life, it did not flood the downstairs neighbors. After my husband came home, he watched the entire process of the black dog biting and damaging the faucet through the home surveillance cameras. In a fit of anger, he grabbed the kitchen knife and was about to make dog meat hot pot. Today I'm going to butcher this stinking dog for sure. If it weren't for that smart water valve, several 100,000 yuan would have just gone down the drain. Her parents-in-law took their son and hid in the room. Good boy, come into the room with grandpa and grandma. Children shouldn't see this. I suppressed the fear in my heart, spread my hands out, and stood in front of the black dog baring its teeth. Honey, Xiaohei is still young and doesn't know any better. Teach it more in the future, and it won't make the same mistake again. I glanced at the room door where my son was hiding. Xiaohei was brought back from the mountain by our son with his own hands. If you just kill it like this, our son will be upset. The tenderness of a loving father vanished the moment he heard his son's name. Get out of the way, I'll settle that brat's score with him later. I'm killing this dog today, and no one is stopping me. As they faced off, I quietly unfastened the black dog's collar. Buckle under my cover. The black dog sneaked around behind my husband and bit him on the buttocks. This beast actually dared to bite me. After biting me, the black dog quickly fled, and before leaving, it even glanced back at me. I saw attachment in its eyes, yet I felt not the slightest warmth. The black dog had never been vaccinated at all. It was no different from a wild one. After my husband was bitten, he went to the hospital to get a rabies vaccine. Before he had even left the hospital, he started cursing me out. By you, if you hadn't insisted on protecting that beast, I would have killed it long ago. How could I have been bitten? Seeing that I remained unmoved, I didn't even take good care of him. My husband became even angrier. Divorce. I want a divorce. I can't live like this for even one more day. My eyes lit up. I quickly lowered my head and pretended to wipe away tears, saying in fear, we've been married for over 10 years, and the child is already 13, without you. And the child, what am I supposed to do from now on? My husband was smug and self-satisfied. Crying won't help. I won't soften up. Tomorrow we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to apply for a divorce, and the child will be mine. Hubby, I know you're just saying this in anger. Now even divorces require a 30-day cooling-off period. As long as I don't agree, there's no way we can get divorced. So there we were, one of us cursing and the other crying. After the nurse reminded us to keep quiet, I left in pain so as not to disturb his rest and went back to my parents' home to sleep. Although the bridal home wasn't completely flooded, it simply wasn't fit for living in now. I must have lost my mind to go back and suffer alongside those ungrateful three. Early the next morning, I carried the nourishing soup I had carefully simmered all night to the ward, supported by her in-laws on both sides. She was taken out of the hospital and into the Civil Affairs Bureau. My son doesn't need a useless wife like you, and my precious grandson doesn't need an irresponsible mother like you either. Sign the divorce papers now. Mom, I'm so disappointed in you. You actually helped a dog hurt Dad. I don't want you to be my mom anymore. Bye you. Let's part on good terms. Sign it quickly. I only took a cursory glance, just like in my previous life. Leave with nothing. I immediately sat down on the floor of the Civil Affairs Bureau and cried my eyes out. I'm not getting divorced. I haven't cheated. And I don't smoke, drink, or gamble. Why should I get divorced for no reason? We've been married for more than 10 years. My salary paid for the household expenses, and your salary all went to your parents. Why should I have to walk away with nothing? I made such a scene that my husband couldn't save face. The divorce agreement was revised so that post-marital property would be split equally, half for each person. It was probably because he was certain I couldn't take this money that my husband signed so readily. By you, hurry up and move your things out, otherwise, don't blame me for throwing them away. I lowered my head and pretended to cry, giving no response. They were all clothes I no longer wore anyway, and they had even been soaked in water. Whoever wants it can have it. I'm not taking it anymore. After everyone left, I followed suit, covering my face as I rushed out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. I lifted my tearless face and left the Civil Affairs Bureau with a smile. I returned to the home where I lived, under my account. My parents had long since seen through my husband's family for who they really were. It's good that you're home. Each of them gave me a warm, reassuring hug. That night, they prepared a very lavish dinner for me. Siu, come on, eat more. You've gotten thinner and look exhausted. In my parents' eyes, I always seemed to be that child who still hadn't grown up, never someone's mother, someone's wife, or someone's daughter-in-law. There was always an endless stream of worries and responsibilities waiting for me to shoulder with my slender frame. When I wanted a divorce, I finally understood. People only want to get married after they've had enough of the good life. During the cooling-off period, My husband and in-laws kept finding reasons to call me every 3 days. On the surface, I went along with them, but in reality, I didn't help them with a single thing. Either I was working overtime at the company, or I was sick and couldn't go. They used all the excuses my husband's family once used to exploit me. As soon as the 30 days were up, I immediately called my husband. Honey, today is the last day of the divorce cooling off period. You haven't called me. Have you regretted it and decided not to divorce me anymore? Humph, scared now. Can we not get divorced? Our son is only 13, he can't be without his mother. In my past life, for the sake of my son, I chose to leave with nothing, less than half a year after the divorce. My husband remarried. After the new mother came into the house, my son never called me mom again. She calls her husband's newly married stepmother very sweetly. Having lived a second life, I will make no concessions for this ungrateful son. You're overthinking it. After not seeing you for a month, your son has almost forgotten you. That's impossible. I don't believe it. My husband, just to scare me, directly arranged to meet me at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, just like the day we went to register the divorce. Reluctantly, I was carried into the Civil Affairs Bureau by my father-in-law and mother-in-law. I sobbed and said that I didn't want a divorce, under the threat that if my in-laws didn't divorce, they would hurt my son. I had no choice but to agree to sign the divorce papers. As we were leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, my ex-husband said smugly, "Bye you, if you want to see the child in the future, just behave and do as you're told." Got it. I wiped away my tears and gave him a speechless look. Walk away gracefully. After the divorce, apart from the agreed child support, I completely cut off contact with my ex-husband's family. They wanted to use my son's visitation rights to pressure me into giving in and wouldn't let me see my child. I was more than happy to be free of them. Whenever I see my son, I can't help but think of the black dog he brought home at night. I would have nightmares about my past life. It's better not to see him. Not seeing him is very good. Not seeing him again would be for the best. My ex-husband remarried around the same time as in my past life. Just like in my past life, that shameless bastard sent the wedding invitation to my home. But the bride wasn't the woman from my past life. My son sent me a photo to show off that he had a new mom. The woman's figure and looks weren't as good as the one from my previous life. This set of wedding photos wasn't even as exquisite and beautiful as the one I took when I married my ex-husband. It seems that without me getting divorced and still tirelessly taking care of the children and being the mother hen for their family, they weren't doing so well. The stepmother of my son in my past life was clearly a metropolitan beauty. The one in this life seems quite deft at housework, and likely to be good at bearing children. Time flew by, and 5 years later arrived. The closer I got to the time when the incident happened in my past life, the more panicked I became. I used the excuse that work was stressful and I wanted to go back to my hometown to relax, and brought both my parents back with me. Since my grandparents passed away, no one has lived here. There was dust everywhere in the old home, and the furniture was damaged to varying degrees. Mom, Dad, let's renovate the old house and rent it out. I took annual leave, and my parents have already retired. I've made up my mind that I definitely won't go back until it's completely safe. My parents checked the things in the house that could still be taken away, including my grandparents' belongings, and they couldn't even fill up my trunk. I let out a long sigh. Good. The three of us were busy looking for workers to repair the damaged walls and windows. Any wooden furniture we didn't need was split up and burned in the stove as firewood. Anything that could be sold for money was piled up, and once everything was done, we could contact the scrap collector to come and take it all away together. After I got busy, I almost forgot the panic brought to me by memories of my past life, until a phone call from the hospital came to my mobile phone. May I ask if this is MS? By you? Your son and your ex-husband's family were attacked by a wild black bear and are now being treated at the hospital. Would it be convenient for you to come over? After hanging up, I did not rush to head back to the city. Instead, I looked through the news and the neighborhood owners group chat. From the owners group chat of my ex-husband's residential community, I found out the whole story from beginning to end. Late at night, the black bear climbed over the wall and sneaked into the neighborhood, then politely knocked on my ex-husband's door. Luckily, the knocking woke up the neighbor across the hall, who called the police in time. Before the black bear completely killed off her ex-husband's family, the property management and the police arrived at the scene. However, after injuring several people, the black bear fled, because the former parents-in-law were elderly. They were carried out of the residential complex covered with white sheets. When the ex-husband, the son's stepmother, and the son were carried out. Each of them was a bloody, mangled mess, too gruesome to look at. The police have publicly stated that the black bear is a wild bear, not one that escaped from the zoo, and they are intensifying their deployment to capture it. After seeing all this, I felt somewhat relieved, but then my worry came right back. Using a burner account, I anonymously posted these news updates in my own neighborhood's residents group. As soon as I sent them, the neighborhood exploded into an uproar. A few days ago, I heard knocking at the door in the middle of the night. Luckily, I just pulled the blanket over my head and kept sleeping, so I didn't go out to check. It was so scary. Yesterday I saw strange footprints in the hallway. Now that I think about it, they really did look a bit like bear tracks. So scary. Where's the property management? Hurry up and check the surveillance footage to see whether it really is a bear. No, if it really is this killer bear, we should call the police or contact the Forestry Bureau instead. The police have already been notified, but unfortunately I didn't take photos at the time, so the police didn't believe me. What should I do? They still came looking for me. I decisively gave up on the idea of heading back to the city right away and only kept in touch with the hospital by phone. The peepholes on the doors of many households in the residential complex have surveillance functions. Even though the property management said it wasn't a bear, some residents also released blurry footage from their own surveillance cameras showing a tall black shadow. Within 3 days, the police, having tracked down the black bear, joined forces with the Forestry Bureau to capture it. A bear had killed someone. Even though it was a national second-class protected animal, it could not escape being put to death. Once the matter was settled, I asked my parents to stay in their hometown for a while and assured them not to worry. Then I went back to work. First, when I saw my son again, his face had been disfigured, and there were many horrifying scars on the exposed skin of his body. Fortunately, all 4 limbs are intact, so there shouldn't be any problem with going into a factory to tighten screws later on. Mom, I've been expelled from school. You have to take care of me. I want plastic surgery. I want my scars fixed. The way he was addressed after the divorce in my previous life, something I never heard again until I died. Now that I hear it, all that remains is irony. Yen Si-hung, you're already an adult. Whether you want to keep studying or go to work, I have no obligation to take care of you, but I'm your only child. If you treat me like this, aren't you afraid that no one will take care of you in your old age? After I died in my previous life, my soul did not immediately dissipate. I clearly heard my son, with disgust, hang up the phone call from the police asking him to identify my body. Counting on him to support me in old age is less realistic than going home and dreaming. Even though I have pension insurance and have never once thought about asking for alimony, I still need to let him know that I owe him nothing. Son, before you became an adult, I never missed a single child support payment. The bulk of your medical treatment after you were injured was also paid for by me. It's okay that you're young and don't understand the law. Mom is telling you this. In the future, when I'm old, if you don't pay me support, that's illegal, and I can take you to court. Between him and me, he is the only one who owes me. My son screamed hysterically at my departing back by you. It's all because when I was little you kept forcing me to study hard and be ambitious, and kept telling me I had to make something of myself, that I grew distant from you. How can you not care about me? You can't ignore me. So that was why my son had insisted on bringing home a fake dog and a real bear, and so smoothly called someone else mom. A self-mocking smile tugged at the corners of my lips, and I became even more determined to leave. Not long after my son left, my ex-husband came to see me in a wheelchair. Honey, 100 days of kindness for every day we were husband and wife. I know I was wrong. Let's remarry. In his mouth, his second wife had become the villain who pushed him and his parents out to be fed to the bears, and he became the good man who was bravely injured while protecting his wife, child, and parents. I looked coldly at my ex-husband. Yen Zhe, if you don't want people to know, don't do it. I showed my ex-husband the footage captured by the camera in our living room. How do you have this? That camera was originally the one I bought, and the account was registered under my name. Why would I not have it? One day after the incident, I suddenly remembered the surveillance camera and tried logging in. I didn't expect my ex-husband's family to still be using the camera I bought to this day, saving money to this extent. I'm truly impressed by him. Before my ex-husband left with a livid face, I kindly told him, by the way, I copied this video and sent it to your second wife. The video of my ex-husband, when faced with danger, pushing his parents and wife toward the bear's claws was evidence of his deliberate harm. Besides the son who ran off quickly and wasn't caught, Everyone around him was thoroughly used by him. Within a few days, I heard that my ex-husband had been sued and taken away by the police for investigation. In addition, his second wife also posted this matter online. Fans who had previously watched my ex-husband's self-pitying videos and sympathized with him turned against him overnight and became his anti-fans. The ex-husband has already lost the ability to work and can't earn sympathetic traffic, so his income has completely vanished. The two of them are fighting a lawsuit in a way that leaves both sides badly hurt, and their son has gotten involved as well. They want to split up his inheritance while his father is still alive. In the end, the ex-husband's haunted house, where someone died, was auctioned off. His second wife received the compensation. The ex-husband was sentenced to prison. His son didn't get a single cent and went to work in a factory tightening screws. With everything settled, I took advantage of the company's opportunity to expand into new business in other cities. I persuaded my parents to leave this city and live with me. Since the bear incident, our neighborhood has been in a state of panic, and many families have chosen to sell their homes and leave. Without much hesitation, my parents agreed to my proposal. Because I responded actively to the company's call, once I got there, I was directly appointed as the general manager of the branch office. Everything is getting better. The memories of my past life were like a nightmare, and they have completely faded out of my life after hearing this story. What do you think? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I look forward to hearing your voice.